Hey guys, welcome back. BDCKR here. We're back with Season 9, Episode 5 of our weekly Q&A video. If you're on YouTube right now, it's a video. If you're on YouTube right now and you want to listen to this as a podcast instead, we'll still call it a video because the file is exactly the same. But you can check out the links in the description to access this on a lot of major podcasting platforms. I don't know if it's most of them. I don't know if it's all the major ones. I don't know how podcasting platform viewership shakes out.
Right.
But you can check it out and see. And then you let us know if you think it's most of them or how I should be referring to it. Anyways, getting straight into the first question this week, which I think we're just going to use as a jumping off point.
For probably the most important event in Injustice mobile game for the last few months.
Yeah, so this comes from Chidabem Modilim. And they say, not gonna lie, I was sad when I saw Bane Luchador, still hope they interrupt the cycle along the line. Edit, my only cold comfort is that even though I did not have high class cards at the time, I was able to get at least one copy of some of the challenge characters that aren't in the cycle now. So at the worst, they just have to grind power credits like hell. For the others, the RNG gods from booster packs and survivor packs have helped in those aspects. So, glad that you've, thankfully gotten a bunch of them. But for a lot of people, bit of a hard spot.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a full list of everybody who's not there.
Right.
And we're going to maybe go through and talk about each of them and say their name at the very least so that you have it.
Say my name.
But, maybe say a thing or two about what their loss means for newer players, for not being able to have access to them.
Right.
So the first one is Injustice to Aquaman.
I love him. I think the fact that he can send damage over time back, reflect it doubled. Yeah. It can be really spectacular. Like if you're facing Arkham Catwoman, that's really pretty much your only answer to her, because otherwise she's going to bleed you out.
Yeah.
What else? I mean, he's got great stats. So he's got combined stats as good as Injustice 2 Superman. And I think you need at least one Aquaman skin, because I can't remember which one it was, but one of the challenges requires Aquaman as a character, and he's not available otherwise except in challenges.
Yeah.
The challenge pack, I mean.
And so speaking of that, are all the Aquaman out now? Because there's only 3, right?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, none of them are available in challenges. This challenge cycle excludes all Aquaman skins.
They're only golds. They're only challenge golds. So now you actually can't beat the challenge with the Aquaman requirement unless you've already gotten Aquaman, which means that you've been playing for now at this point, 2 full cycles of, or you've at least had an account active.
I think what it amounts to is you have to spend the credits to skip the part of the challenge that requires an Aquaman.
That sucks. That's really crappy. Yeah, because Aquaman Prime is also gone, and he's not as great of a loss, I think.
But he's interesting because you can actually. So this goes back to that question that was not even that question, the discussion a week or two back about how it's not always about doing the things the fastest. Mm-hmm. Aquaman Prime is real interesting because with the Atlantean Hero, which is his special 2 where she brings the Atlantean Hero to fight for him in his place, is really kind of fun. And it's a great technique for taking advantage of the Tanti Totem, where he gets his power back from tagging back in, and he saved the power because he recovered his power for not doing any damage with his special to make the Atlantean Hero.
It's true. Technically, he's a very competent tank because he's essentially an infinite tank.
Yeah.
That is actually a good point.
So it's fun. Like, it's a good technique for Survivor, I think, until Special 1 gets... What's the word? What's the phrasing for it? Where it's disabled? Yeah.
And wait, you mean Special 2, right?
Well, there's different. Sometimes it's Special 1, sometimes it's... right. For him, it's actually as soon as either Special is disabled, because... maybe if you give him a different teammate, because I was thinking Special 1 is so that he bleeds them out by tagging back in and out. But Special 2 is how he gets the Atlantean Hero. So anytime the specials start getting disabled, I was trying to ship...
He loses a lot.
Yeah, I was trying to ship specials in disabled, and I started saying spabled, and it did not work.
Yeah. So there we go. And then anything else about him?
No, but I think out of all the 3 Aquaman Regime is probably the least important. Like the first 2, Injustice 2 and Prime, very handy, very interesting, lots of fun to play with.
Yeah, we're also missing Batgirl Prime.
Ooh.
which hurts a little. All the Batgirls are pretty
They're pretty good.
good just because of their combos for their first specials.
Right. And I'll tell you, I think in terms of... Alright, so Batgirl Prime is a great teammate because she gives everybody power. A bar of power. She gives herself a bar of power. And she has the thing that Batgirls do, where the first part of her special stuns a little bit, and then when they're stunned, the damage of her special one is back end loaded. So with Cloak of Destiny, plus League of Assassins Knives, and her first bar of power, she does, and if you want to, you give her maybe LexCorp Gauntlets to give her increase the crit chance on her special one. She does a huge amount of damage, and unlike the other Batgirls, that follow-up hit after stunning is just a single hit, as opposed to a bunch of them. So she gets full value for boosted special one.
For the splash.
Yeah, well, exactly. It doesn't matter for most of them, because if the other Batgirls have higher damage, so they'll eventually knock out the person that she's facing, but then some of it gets wasted if those last few hits don't even land because they're knocked out already. Yeah, so full value for damage, splash damage for special one. So I think she actually has not only is a good teammate, she's got her own unique offensive potential that in some ways can be better than the other Batgirls. So she's really important, and the fact that she's missing is kind of a big deal.
Yeah. We also have Gaslight Batman, who,
he's interesting too. He's hard to face on a defensive team.
He can do a lot of damage.
And until you actually play against him where you don't have a special specialist, or your special specialist is, for whatever reason, not available.
Yeah.
That doing basic damage against his teammates is hard because of how long it lasts. His passive where you whiff on actually landing.
Yeah, so
special 2 is pretty high damage too.
He's worth having.
Yeah.
For sure. Red Sun Batman is also not available.
I like him. I think Red Sun Green Lantern is the most important Red Sun person to have in your Red Sun team.
Yeah.
And I would actually... I feel like Batman Red Sun and then Wonder Woman Red Sun are the two other most important because it helps generate power, which is what Red Sun Wonder Woman does. Although New 52 Wonder Woman might even do that a little better.
Yeah. But
Red Sun Batman gives you the chance of unblockable attacks. Maybe special ones, I think. Is that it? But still something good because that speeds up fights. And the few times where you're doing a special one immediately just to prevent the other team from doing special, if you increase the chance that it's going to land, always has value. Yeah.
So there we go. We're missing out on Darkseid Prime Darkseid.
Oh, he's the one that makes bronze characters good.
Yeah. So he's, I would say, no great loss out of everyone. Because the problem is his stats aren't hidden. He's really only good for single-player grinding. Yeah. For everybody else, he kind of just has a non-helpful passive. Because the stats show up in your team matchup. So you can't really squeeze one. I guess, technically, if you're really early on and you want a little more battle points out of your bronze characters, and you have enough gear that you can compensate for them. But bronze passives tend to be worse than gold passives. So you're at a little bit of a disadvantage, I think, intrinsically.
I will make an interesting higher level argument for why Darkseid Prime is important. So everybody's question when they first start playing is, who do I promote? Who do I augment? Who do I, just lean on? And the problem with promoting too high early on, and you're tempted to because you want to get through story mode, single player mode, offline fights.
Yeah.
And you want to do that because there's prizes in it, and until you get good, you want to grind a little bit to get more credits so that you can buy more gears and upgrade them, right? So it's the gears that make the multiplayer fight. So the problem is it's easier to promote your characters than it is, and faster than it is to get the gears. So you're tempted to take the characters that you like to play, make them really strong, and then when it comes to multiplayer, you may actually you may have wished you hadn't promoted them so far and rolled them back. Yeah. So what Darkseid Prime does is it gives you bronzes that are at a higher level, and he boosts them so that you can get through story mode further with bronze characters than you otherwise might, and then you don't have to end up messing up the gold characters that you realize later on you want to play with.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess that really depends on when he comes during your playing experience.
Right.
But yeah, so that is a decent point, actually. I would say not the worst, though, still, even with that being considered. Because he needs to come in at a point where you can already afford the stats to get through it, but not when you've upgraded people too far and, whatever. Yeah, so he has a potential purpose. It is a little sad to see. It's sad to see anybody go. We're not getting new content. It would be nice to not lose old content.
Yeah, yeah.
We also have Arkham Origins Deathstroke is no longer available, and this one hurts a little bit.
Yeah, so 2 Deathstrokes. There's the Red Sun Deathstroke and Arkham Origins. Arkham Origins was sort of the OG game changer, where his special one, when it was in the AI was controlling him, was always triggering at 200%.
Yeah.
And so it would be unblockable and crit, and it would be deadly.
Oh yeah, that hurt.
And he's got great stats. He's got boosted stats for his promotions. Really strong Arkham character. He's great on Arkham teams. Yeah, it's sad. I mean, Deathstroke Red Sun is probably a little bit less useful, only because, speed boost doesn't seem to change the fight nearly as much as other kinds of passives.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess the good thing is, if we're talking about what's available for challenges when there are challenge requirements, Deathstroke at least is available as a silver and a bronze character. So it's not, inaccessible the same way Akon is.
Yeah, for sure. Next up, out of who we don't have, this one's very sad for us. Containment Doomsday, Picklesuit Doomsday, is not here, and he's one of our sort of personal favorites. He's one of our pet favorites, our underdog faves.
Yeah, and underdog only because he's got low stats. I mean, he's not. If you look at what he does in his passive, he's not that much of an underdog.
Yeah.
So his stats are low, but because his health pool is hidden by his passive, where he gets he revives, I think 3 times with 50% health.
Yeah.
Each time his damage gets boosted. I mean, that's great in Survivor if you don't want to spend the credits to heal.
Yeah. Oh, it's wonderful in Survivor, and it gives you a little bit more generous matchups. It gives you more wiggle room in matchups, so it lets you get more consistent wins in anything where they're balancing stats, which is, pretty fresh.
It's an interesting variation on the original Doomsday, because I think Doomsday Prime, I believe, gets half his health back if he knocks somebody out.
Yeah.
And I feel like I like Containment Doomsday better because, 1, his swipe combo does 3 hits.
Yeah.
And 2, his health you don't have to be any good with him. You could actually just take damage and use him as a meat shield.
Yeah.
And not have to beat an opponent to even get the benefit of his passive.
Yeah, it doesn't require as much intentionality when you're playing. It lets you, make a mistake, or it lets you time stuff, and it's harder to screw up. It's a lot more forgiving. And, getting health and energy and damage and stuff, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, right. Power.
Yeah.
He gets a bar
1.5.
he
gets popped up to 1.5 bars. So, getting a free special and getting power back is just a straight upgrade that you can do the same number of times, except it triggers when you die, which is always when you need it the most.
Right.
Because when you knock somebody out, you always have more than 0 health, so you're not getting to absorb any bonus damage from the ability of a revive.
Right.
And I almost said revive. Really stress the 2 syllables.
Revive.
Yeah, so you're not... you can hide extra damage in there, right? If you're at low health and then you get hit with a special.
Right.
It doesn't matter how much damage they do to you.
Right.
The same way. And then the other advantage is... What was I going to say?
He looks like a pickle.
You can't waste any of the health, too, because you're always at 0%. If you are playing Doomsday, unless you're at 50% or below, you're losing health, right?
Right, so let's say you have 70% health, you don't get the full value out of this passive.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying.
If they have a weirdly stacked team where they have 2 bronzes and a gold, you might get 5% and 5% health back. And then...
Oh, no, I think you get your 50%.
Yeah, but if you're close to full, I'm saying.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
You might...
Oh, that's what you mean.
I'm saying if you're burning through them, if they barely hit you, you might only, get 10% health back or whatever, even if you knock out both of them.
Right.
And then lose it all. Whereas with this guy, no matter what, you get your full... Is it 2 revives or 3? It's 3, isn't it? Yeah, revives. You get your full 150% health.
Yeah.
So it's more health. It's other effects at the same time.
Yeah.
You're always getting the maximum value out of it, and then sometimes you can sneak in, essentially, because it's a revive, more health than it seems like you have, numerically.
Yeah.
And actually, I think almost always you sneak in a little bit of extra health, because it's very rare that they do the exact amount of damage to knock you out.
Right.
So, yeah. We also have Yellow Lantern Hal Jordan. It's another person that you can't get.
And I've never been a huge fan. I can't, off the top of my head, I can't remember exactly his passive, but I think it has to do with if your opponent tags out, you steal some of their power, and you also, if they tag out, maybe he's the one who also boosts his damage on special. I can't remember. It's okay. It's not great. We can't control when the opponent tags out so much, so I'm not totally inclined to play him. I don't really miss him that much.
Yeah. So there we go. We also have, and we've already talked about her a little bit in our weekly recap, Hawk Girl. Hawk Girl Prime is gone.
Yeah.
Which is very sad.
She is generally underrated. The fact that she can let you tag in and out faster is a spectacular passive.
And it's fun. What I like about it a lot is that it's actually pretty fun. Because, there's not a lot of tagging in and out really fast. It doesn't break the game in any way. You don't go from having a team that, is just okay to having a team that's ridiculous and not a challenge.
Right.
But being able to tag in and out a lot and jump around with people is more fun.
To me, it's part of gameplay. And it's enhancing gameplay because the decisions you make to get somebody out and bring somebody in is really important strategy.
Yeah.
And to enhance that strategy, there should be more ways that you could do that. And you can really see the value in it when that's taken away from you, when your tag out ability is delayed with Quake Engine.
Oh yeah, frustrating.
Sure. And Tantu Totem, you got Tantu Totem, you got Master's Death card, really key tag out gears, tag in gears, technically. And it makes such a difference in how strong your team. It takes a really good team and makes it spectacular and so much more fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there we go. It's true because you always have to make choices when you're tagging.
Right.
It's a little more active to play, but it can be pretty rewarding.
Yeah.
Other people we've lost. You've lost Killer Frost Regime or Regime Killer Frost.
I don't even miss her. So she's like the worst version of Killer Frost Prime, where she only dampens power generation when she does her special when you're frozen.
Yeah.
We got Killer Frost. I'm okay without Killer Frost Regime. She's not the best skin.
We've also lost Raven Regime.
I believe she was the original Raven in the challenge. That was the first Raven we saw. And she was okay, but these older gold characters that required their health to be low to trigger their passive, and it's temporary, it doesn't last long. I think she's the one where, with low health, she power drains on her attacks.
Oh, yeah.
So, I again...
Rather the health swap.
That's Raven Prime, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or even, like, Power Steel.
Yeah.
Or that ranged special too. I think she's the worst of all the Ravens.
Mm-hmm. We also have lost out on 2 Scorpions. Mortal Kombat and Mortal Kombat X Scorpion.
And I believe, these were the 2 that were available in Survivor Pack.
Yeah.
So it's not as big a loss because the Survivor Pack was available for power credits.
Mm-hmm.
And I gotta be honest, I'm not a huge fan of Scorpions, only because they're so slow.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know, you're playing them for damage over time, but having good, quick, basic attacks are useful, not just for the offensive potential, but also because when you're fighting, one way if you want to protect yourself is to get in a basic combo, because they're not attacking you when they're hitting you, and they're not generating power as much when you're hitting them.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Yeah.
So we also have Antimatter Sinestro being gone.
He's interesting. I don't miss him as much, but when he was first released and the Assassins...
Before he was fixed, or I guess...
It wasn't him fixed,
League
it was
Assassins.
the Assassins gears were fixed, where they had programmed it so that the League of Assassins gear set had worked not the way it was described, but so that he could, whenever he forced somebody out, every tag out, it would trigger the passive again and you would steal their health. Or, steal their power. Mm-hmm. So you could... Man, alright, so there's a video... I don't know if I can remember the time. It's, 19 and a half minutes?
Yeah.
Where, I'll try to link it, or maybe in the description, where you could really special one the other team into oblivion repeatedly.
Oh my gosh,
and finish the fight. Because you're stealing their power, You get your power back to do another special one. You pop him out.
Yeah.
You do damage. You give him League of Assassin's Knives as one of the League of Assassin's gears, and you're doing splash damage every time. So each time anybody tags in, they've got less health. It was a reasonable strategy for actually getting to a pretty high level survival without much effort.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a really advanced version of Aquaman Prime's, strategy with Tentu Totem. This way you just boom, 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 and the team is pretty much wiped out.
Yeah. So there we go. We also have Boss Solomon Grundy, who is, I would say, no great loss.
Yeah, I mean, it's a joke on the subreddit, right? That
he's S tier, or he's above S tier.
Yeah. But the problem really is that they took away, when he was first released, he was viable, because when you triggered his passive to boost his damage, it stayed even after you healed. So it was a reasonable strategy to let his health go down and then heal him up.
Yeah.
And you've boosted his damage, and then he's kind of fun even if he's slow.
Yeah, and that's actually also good, because that's kind of like skilled play.
Right.
Because to be able to consistently heal him up, to get him low, it's sort of a risk-reward thing of how low are you willing to get him before you try to heal him back up, and then once you try, can you?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that was a big mistake. Like, they nerfed him in a way that was unnecessary and made a good character awful. He wasn't even a great character, but they made a good character awful.
He was on the high end of okay.
The high end of okay. That should be a band's name. Hey, we're the high end of okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like that would be like a fun cover band.
Yeah.
Or something like that. I don't know. Or an OK Go cover band.
Oh, that'd be funny. Yeah, there's something distinctive. Whenever I see an OK Go music video, even without the music, they've got a definite sensibility.
They've got a brand.
Identifiable, yeah.
Well, I mean, their music videos are just the biggest, most bombastic things. If anybody hasn't done it, every once in a while, like every couple years or so, I go on a little mini sort of OK Go binge where I watch all of their music videos.
Right.
This Too Shall Pass is really good. That's the big Rube Goldberg Machine one.
Right.
The One Moment, I think it's called, is really good. I Won't Let You Down. They've got a bunch of good stuff. So do yourself a favor. I think my last one was in first year university in my dorm. Just late at night, I just watched like 45 minutes of all the OK Go music videos with a friend or something.
Neat.
But those are always a lot of fun. Yeah. Okay. So that was Boss Solomon Grundy, because he is the upper end of OK. And then we have Injustice 2 Superman.
Oh, he's huge. I mean, he's one of the few guys that's got a great balance between defense and offense, but his offense is good enough that it makes up for, like, it's not like when a character has a defensive ability, it takes away from anything except maybe opportunity cost, but he's got boosted health, boosted damage from both promotions. He's got high damage, and he's got that little shield that he doesn't even need to tag in for. So if he starts off the first slot, he's got it where you can totally avoid a special.
Yeah.
Now, the fact that Tentu Totem exists makes that a little bit less valuable. Still really good, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's probably, if you're going to be playing, if we ever played fights with only one character, that would probably be the biggest loss. Him and Arkham Knight Batman, I think, are two of the best single member team players, even though we never have a team with only one player or one character. If there were teams like that, those two would be the two best individuals.
Mm-hmm. So there we go. We also have Elseworld Flash, who is sad for us because we love the Flash.
We do. I think he was the first gold Flash. Even though I don't even know if he ever had the challenge in Android. Because Android started after iOS. Mm-hmm. And iOS had the Flash challenge, the Elseworld Flash challenge, but I don't think Android ever did. That's interesting. So, and they nerfed him. They nerfed his special. So not special, sorry. They nerfed his passive, where he used to be able to interrupt a multi-hit special if it triggered, and bullet time would stop the opponent dead in their tracks doing their passive. And they nerfed that. Unnecessary. Again, one of the times where they made a good character just awful by unnecessarily nerfing their passive.
For no reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, next up we have Wonder Woman 600, who's another sad one to be saying bye to.
Yeah, she's got such great synergy within all lady teams, with the boosting the power generation, boosting the damage. I don't even know what to say to this. I mean, her stats don't seem that great, but when you play her with any kind of team that uses female characters,
yeah,
wow, like it just
really stand out.
Really, yeah, really. It's a shame because I think the really good team support characters are underrated, and she's one of them.
Yeah. Next up we have Zatanna Prime. So they don't. Okay. There's no Zatannas, right? Because there was only
This is the only Zatanna. This is the only Zatanna.
So they put all this work into Zatanna, right? She's got her own support cards and everything.
Yeah, it's kind of cool that you say that because my only thought when I saw her name on the list was, not that great. I don't miss her. I don't miss the fact that she can stun herself on using one of her specials.
Yeah.
And that's enough to make me not want to ever play her.
Yeah, but it feels weird because when you think about how much more work it is, right? I mean, that's like a whole animation set.
Yeah.
Right? For all the other characters, it's not that there's no work, but if you think about doing a special too, like one new special, right?
Yeah.
Versus everything else and having like a skeleton with all the animations and everything.
Yeah.
And, I know that it's not always all the animations because sometimes they change like the number of hits and stuff, right?
Right.
But the work proportionally feels like, a fractional. Right? Maybe it's half, maybe it's a third, maybe it's less, right?
Right.
But it's definitely less work. So to have a whole new character that you have to do your own thing with, and then to just lock them off,
abandon it.
Yeah, seems like a lot of work for not a lot.
So it makes me feel. It seems like that the idea that they're missing all these challenge characters is clearly not intentional.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as a character, she's a bit of a mess.
Yeah.
I think I would like to see another Zatanna skin.
Would you? That.
Yeah, just so where they'd improved on her.
Yeah. Okay.
Just because they spent the time doing it, right? Like, I think it would be nice to have a Zatanna that actually works. It doesn't knock herself out. That doesn't stun herself in the middle of a fight when she's using power.
Tweaking the ability.
Yeah.
On this one, rebalancing.
It's an insult. So you're spending power that you've saved up to do a special, and you stun yourself.
Yeah.
Come hit me. No, thank you.
Yeah. So there we go.
Oh, and one more.
Save the best last for last one. Zod Prime.
Okay. So we've got a Zod already that's in the store. So he's not the unique skin. So it's not as bad to be missing him.
Yeah.
He's got an interesting passive that used to be better.
And he was an early challenge.
Yes, he was. What I liked about his passive was it's one of those passives where if you make a bit of effort, you can do something interesting with it. And his passive is Phantom Zone Survivor. For every teammate that's knocked out, General Zod receives plus 20% bonus to all damage and plus 20% bonus to health, max of 40% bonus. Didn't used to have a max.
Yeah.
It used to be, and it wasn't that his health would increase, like his health capacity. It was that he would get 20% back if he'd lost some health.
Yeah.
But it was fun to try to see how far you could take it by teaming up with Aquaman Prime.
Mm-hmm.
Letting the other team knock out the Atlantean hero over and over and over again.
Yeah. That was another one of those things where it wasn't like a strategy that was particularly dominant. It didn't make anything, ridiculous, right? But I always feel kind of gypped. Or I shouldn't use that term. I know that's actually not a good term.
That's a bad term.
A little
ripped off.
Cheated when they take something. We've talked about it a lot with these characters, where they take people who used to be more interesting and more fun, and would create their own sort of engagement and encourage people to set their own challenges outside of just sort of the explicit challenges of the game,
right?
And then turn them into somebody really boring. Right? And, in all these cases, they also made them worse and made them not great to play with. But, like Red Lantern Hal Jordan is still potentially worth playing sometimes.
Right.
Right? You can still put him in places. But he just went from really cool to,
a little below average.
Just okay. Yeah. High end of okay again. Right?
I say low end of okay.
Low end of okay?
He's okay. He's all right. He's not great.
But he's playable, and
you're
sucks.
Right. You know what?
I think part of why we feel like he's low end of okay is because we know what he was and what
he was spectacular.
Yeah,
he was ridiculously spectacular.
Yeah, so I feel like our judgment of him has been colored by his fall from grace.
So if you're watching this video, again, I'm going to have trouble remembering to link it in the description. So if you're watching this video, Google our pre-nerf Red Lantern Hal Jordan video. And you can see how much fun he was. He was the OG speed multiplayer demon where he could just ram right through an entire team. And it wasn't unbalancing because if you're facing him in defense, the AI never used him to his maximal ability.
Mm-hmm.
It was,
Yeah.
So I want to answer, I think we have time for one more question. And the reason why I thought this would be a good place to pair it was, maybe we'll read the question first.
Yeah, we'll try to do this one a little quick. So it comes from Camran107, and they say, "Hi guys, since we're on the topic of New 52 Shazam, I have a question about the damage reduction part of his passive. Does he reduce all damage or not? I've heard conflicting answers to this. The wiki says it reduces everything, but I've heard people in the community say it only reduces special damage, so damage over time and basic damage still works. Follow-up question, if it does reduce everything, couldn't you make Arkham Knight Batman practically indestructible by gearing him with defensive gear like Gingold Batman Batman Ninja Joker helmet? Is that what it is called?
No, it's Batman Ninja helmet.
Batman Ninja helmet. Yeah. I was like, why am I...
I think for some people use NJ as the short form for ninja, but then if you're going to do that, I think it makes it visually more intuitive if you make the J lowercase.
Yeah, I just confused myself.
Yeah.
Killer Croc Companion, etc., since his passive allows him to turn off damage over time. So he'd theoretically be even more invincible than Batman Ninja Batman. Unless my math is off and it only works in Justice League members that already have reduced damage in their own passive, like Batman Ninja Batman or New 52 Superman. Apologies for the long question. Also, absolutely love your content. Hope you never stop making videos.
So, I don't know if I'm going to get the timing on this right with the video, but I was debating whether to do like a whole multiplayer run with Arkham Knight Batman, or whether just to do the Phantom Zone run like we do when it's Phantom Zone week, and why not both? So Batman or Arkham Knight Batman is going to be in the final fight to win the crystal, but satisfying all the challenges, and multiplayer will be our regular Phantom Zone week team.
Mm-hmm.
And what's interesting, so the short answer is it does reduce everything. So it does reduce special damage and it does reduce basic damage.
Yeah.
And there is definitely a viable strategy. So if you to make him invincible, and the only danger is because the invincibility depends on gears, is that if you're facing somebody that will shatter your gear, like Earth 2 Solomon Grundy or Claw of Horus, or which is a Superman that does that? There's one of the Supermen.
Oh,
I can't remember.
It's not Godfall.
Maybe Dawn of Justice Superman. Dawn of Justice Superman, I think, has a chance. So you got to just be careful not to let your opponent shatter the gears. But if you do, totally. And the gears you mentioned are actually the most useful. If you think about, all right, so New 52 Shazam passive, 25% reduction. Gingold Soda is 30% basic reduction, but nothing to do with specials. And Killer Croc Companion Gear gives you 20% basic reduction and 30% on specials. So if you're keeping track of the math, that's in 2 gears plus New 52 Shazam as your teammate. You're reducing special damage by 55%. And you are reducing basic damage by 75%.
Yeah.
And if you're thinking, oh, that's kind of cool, if we block, that will be enough, because blocking reduces specials by 50%, the 50% damage reduction. And for basic, it reduces it by 25%. The problem is it's not additive. So the gears are, and the passive from New 52 Shazam is, so you reduce, let's say, the special damage to 55%, so 45% left, and you think, oh, we reduced by 50% more. Then you just cut that in half, so you still do 20-something%. So that's not great. And if you really want to be invulnerable, then you do need Batman Ninja Helmet. And the way Batman Ninja Helmet works is 3 bars of power would reduce damage by 46%. So about 15% per bar.
Yeah.
And I think that means that for special reduction to 0, you need 45% damage reduction. And so, yeah, you're absolutely right. With Arkham Knight Batman, if you give him 2 bars of power to start to charge up Batman Ninja Helmet, and you give him damage over time immunity, then Oh, and if you do the trick where you get 3 of his Wayne Tech boosts instead of 2,
yeah,
you could also reduce crit damage. It's not necessary. I mean, you could pick one of the other ones to try to get more, I guess, offensive potential.
Mm-hmm.
But the difference between Arkham Knight Batman and Batman Ninja Batman is you don't have to have a teammate get knocked out to reduce your damage. And, I mean, technically you could use the same loadout and you could get the same effect, but you don't get to 3 bars as fast as you do with Arkham Knight Batman. Almost right at the beginning. So, and I guess maybe next week we can have some fights where we show you the issues. It's that he's a great tank, but then the fights take too long.
Yeah.
Which is a problem anytime you do that, where you're leading into a defensive strategy.
And it's a fun gimmick to do maybe once or twice, but fights taking longer, it isn't in a way where it is more fun to play, right? It actually takes a lot of the sort of calculation and other stuff out of it, because it's just no way of losing. You're not doing something interesting, you're not setting up a combo, you're sort of just, you can't do specials.
Yeah.
So you're sort of just sitting there pinging away at somebody's health really slowly.
So the fun part to me is the strategy behind it and setting it up, and once you've done that, then it's not nearly as much fun.
Once you've done it once, though, you've experienced all it has to offer.
Right.
So there we go. So that'll do it for this week. A quick shout out to Eliza Caton.
Mumbly?
Yeah.
Oh.
I've written that in the notes. That's not just me making up on the spot.
Okay.
But anyways, we'd also like to give a huge thank you to all the folks who support us on Patreon.
That would be Victor Gomez, Consul Peasant, and Edwoon at the top tier last word. Sinemac and Mohammed Albshaiti at the Your Message Here tier. Shawn Farrell, Daniel Simonson, Aaron Maule, Michael DeVries, Brandon C., Irvin Ruiz, and Eddydoo at the credited level. And Chris Wolf, Scarlet Danny, Awesome Gamer 2for1, Pavu RS, Gavin Malott, and Isfar E at the gratitude level.
Thank you so much for watching. And thanks. And we'll see you next time. Komoda.